Previously on the Bible, we have been seeing God choose a people, the Israelites, or the Jewish people, and say, I'm going to free you from slavery. So Moses helped lead them out of slavery. He parted the Red Sea, or I should say God parted the Red Sea. And we kind of have that right here in the middle, like a little part right here in the middle. And so he parted the Red Sea, and the Israelites walked across dry land, and then they entered into this wilderness where they actually will encounter God at Mount Sinai. So what they are doing is, before they enter into the promised land, they are meeting God. They are meeting their God. And when they meet him, it is quite an experience. The Bible describes, says, hey, I need you, or Moses says, I should say God says through Moses, to the people, hey, you need to consecrate yourselves, get yourselves ready, wash yourselves, make sure that you're properly ready for this meeting. Then there is a boundary line drawn saying, don't go any closer to the mountain than this line or you will surely die. And then it says that there is a mountain that is engulfed in flame and smoke, and it billows up, and there is a mighty storm around the mountain. And it says that it is as if God spoke and the earth itself shook, and the Israelites were terrified to even go close to the mountain. And they had this advocate. I want to say abdocate, and that's not it. Advocate. Anemone. Sea anemone. Sea anemone. Caramel or caramel? I'm kidding. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Don't get distracted. Like, it's caramel. It's caramel. Anyway, moving on. So Mount Carmel. It's not, sorry. It's not Mount Carmel. But every time when I read that as a kid, Christian, I just thought of a caramel, like, river flowing down from the top, like a Willy Wonka situation. But it was not. It's Mount Sinai. Anyway, moving on. So God then calls up Moses into his presence, and it says that God actually inscribed onto stone tablets the 10 Commandments. I want you to think about this. This is the one part of the Bible that God actually wrote, not through someone else, but with his own finger. It says that he carved onto these granite tablets the 10 Commandments. And then Moses came down off the mountain with the 10 Commandments. And so he gave these to the people. And I want to read these to you now. Now, these used to be taught in public school. These used to be actually hung around. Now you'd be surprised if they're taught in your public schools. But this is the foundation for a lot of Western civilization's moral understanding. What I mean by that is, some of these you're like, well, no, duh, that's wrong. Like, don't murder. You're like, duh. Okay, like, we know that. Why do you know it? Because everyone tells you it, or it's in, like, our culture. It's in our government says that it's wrong. Why? If you go back far enough, it's because it was here. It's a part of our culture and our civilization. These rules permeated through generations, not just with the Jewish people, but with all of Western civilization. And the reason that you know many of these commandments to be right or wrong is because they were put here in this book given to us by God. So let's read here. These are the instructions that God gave to his people. It says here in verse 1, then God gave the people all these instructions. I am the Lord your God who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of slavery. So now I'm going to number these as we go along. Number 1, you must not have any other gods but me. Number 2, you must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I am the Lord your God, and I am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affections for any other gods. I lay the sins of your parents upon their children, and the entire generation is affected, even children to the 3rd and 4th generation. We'll come back to that in a later sermon. For those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands. Number 3, you must not misuse the name of the Lord your God, and the Lord will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name. Number 8, remember and observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You must have 6 days for each week for your ordinary work,
But the seventh day is the Sabbath, a rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. This includes you and your sons and your daughters and your male and female servants and your livestock and the foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them. But on the seventh day he rested. That is why the Lord blesses the Sabbath and sets it apart as holy. Number 5, honor your father and mother. Then you will live a long and full life in the land of the Lord your God is giving to you. Number 6, you must not murder. Number 7, you must not commit adultery. Number 8, you must not steal. Number 9, you must not testify falsely against your neighbor. And number 10, you must not covet your neighbor's house. You must not covet your neighbor's wife, female or male servant, ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. When the people heard the thunder and the long blast of the ram's horn, and they saw the flashes of lightning and smoke billowing from the mountain, they stood at a distance, trembling with fear. Pause there for a second. So God is introducing himself to his people, and he says, these are my commandments. If you wish to be my people, you wish for me to be your God, this is what I expect and command of you. And so I'll throw these up here for you. I think I got them here. Yep, there they are. These are the 10 commandments that God gives to his people. Now, I remember when I signed up for football for the first time, I showed up for my first practice, and our coach was named Coach Barrett. His last name was actually Barrett, which was funny. So I got to be like, hey, Coach Barrett, yeah. Anyway, so I show up for practice, and Coach Barrett says, all right, everybody listen up. We are going to play my style of football. If you're going to be on my team, you're going to play my style of football. And he goes, no trick plays, no throwing the ball. I'm like, no throwing the ball? We're going to run out of a power I formation. We're going to run it down their throats. I play a physical kind of football. And so if you don't want to play a physical kind of football, get off my field. And one kid raised his hand and goes, I didn't know football was a contact sport. I'm like, what? And he's like, I thought it was flag football. And he's like, this isn't flag football, get out of here. And he's like, I'll stay. And so that kid was a little nervous and kind of scared, but we got pads and we got our helmets and we started hitting. And he's like, if you're gonna play our style of football, this is how it is played. It's gonna be gritty, we're gonna play hard defense, and we're gonna run the ball right up the middle. And he's like, that is our culture because I'm the coach, this is the way I'm gonna run the team, and so I expect my players to go with that style of football. You might have a teacher where you go in and they give you the syllabus and like, all right, this is my kind of classroom. We don't chew gum in my classroom. Some people are like, I'm not a gum chewing classroom. So no chewing gum in my classroom. We're gonna write papers with thesis statements and paragraphs, okay? And you're like, thesis statements? Yeah, thesis statements. And a conclusion, okay? And no ChatGPT, because you're gonna write it by hand in cursive. In cursive? I don't even know how to write in cursive. It's a dying art. I know how to write in cursive. Honestly, it's really hard for me to write in print anymore. I can only write in cursive, but it's a dying language. Anyway, moving on. The teacher's like, that's my kind of culture that I'm building. If you're in my class, you're my student, this is how it'll be run. God is saying, listen, I'm your God, and I am set apart. I am holy. I'm not like the other gods. I am the one true God of all things. And I expect my people to be distinct, to be set apart, to be characterized in the way they live and present themselves as different. We'll get into this more when we talk more about the law. But God wanted his people to be visible as different from the world. I know this doesn't sound like a crazy list, but as I go along, I hope for you to see how insane this is given the backdrop of the culture before this. Okay, so let's go through these commandments one at a time. I'm going to go through them quickly today. And later we're going to do sermons on the series or on the 10 Commandments in more detail. So you might have questions. I'll go a little bit more detail as we go along. Some of them are more mature in nature. And as I say this before when I give disclaimers, let's be mature about this. Let's not be giggling to our friend next to us. We are not children's ministry. We address more mature topics, all right? So number one, Worship one God, the true God. It's pretty well spoken by God when he's like, if I'm going to be your God, you will not have any other gods but me. Now, this was wild because back then, here's how you lived. You went to Egypt to visit. While you were there, you worshiped the Egyptian gods. You paid taxes, and to pay the taxes, you had to worship their God. Then you went over to, I don't know, you'd go over to Babylon. You'd worship their gods while you were there. You'd go over to Canaan. You'd worship their gods while you're there. And so you could kind of like cheat on, if you will, your God while you were at different places. Or you're like, you know what, I'm going to pray to the rain god because we really need some more rain. So I'm going to pray to that God. And I'll keep worshiping my God, but I'll also pray to this rain god. Oh, that didn't work? I'm going to try a different God and pray to that God. And that's how they operated. And God's like, no. No, my people worship one God. This is actually what got the Jews in a lot of trouble. It's like Daniel when he went to Babylon. And they're like, hey, bow down and worship this God. And he's like, no. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, you can still worship your God from back home, but you also have to worship our God. And they're like, no. This is what got the early Christians in trouble. Because Caesar was like, hey, you can worship your God Jesus, but you also need to worship me, Caesar, because I believe I'm a God. And the Christians were like, no. And they were killed for it. And so this was a radical statement to be called monotheistic, meaning you believe in one God and worship one God. Now, with this idea of being monotheistic, people actually called them atheists, which is funny. Like, how do you not worship all the gods? Why can't you just worship all the gods? And, some people will even say this today. Why can't you just believe in all religions? Why can't you just believe in all the gods, okay? Why can't you just still worship Jesus, but, also believe everywhere goes to heaven? Because it's spoken, we worship one God and one God alone. The next verse sounds similar, but it's not. It says, you must not make any idols of any kind under heaven or under earth. So they sometimes would make these idols, these carved images. Sometimes it would be made of stone or silver or gold or wood. And they believed they could carry these little mini gods with them places, and they would give them certain either power or blessing, or like they were a good luck charm. It was very new agey. And God's like, don't do that. Don't worship any other gods and don't make any gods. Also, verse 3 has to do, number 3. I should be going through these. They light up? Oh, they do. That is so satisfying. Oh, that's nice. That makes me happy. Okay, moving on. Number 3, you should not misuse God's name. You should not misuse God's name. Now, for this one, when it says do not misuse God's name, the idea is do not use God's name in a disrespectful way. Do not use God's name in a dismissive way. But also don't misuse his name in that you say, hey, I'm a Christian, but I'm going to live in a not Christ-like way. Or I'm a follower of Yahweh, but I'm going to live in a non-Yahweh kind of way. I remember, can I tell you something I did in college that you should not do? Okay, yes, you're like, oh boy, it's not that exciting. Anyway, we had this dorm that was like our rival dorm on campus. I went to Liberty, and we were in 25-3, and they were on dorm 8. And dorm 8 was like loud, and we didn't like them, and we played them in all these intramural sports, and we just were like, oh, we do not like dorm 8. So we thought we'd prank them. So what we did was, they had these like shirts that they wore that said dorm 8 all over them. So we made fake shirts that said dorm 8. Then we filled up a bunch of water balloons and got silly string. And we drove around campus hitting random people with water balloons and yelled, dorm 8 rules, woo! And they're like, oh, and like people on Facebook were all like, oh my goodness, which just aged me to say that, but they're like, oh, dorm 8 is the worst. They were like pranking us, and so we gave them a bad name by misrepresenting dorm 8 as these jerks who would hit random people with water balloons. Bad, shouldn't have done it, naughty, but that's kind of like this, the idea of like, hey, I worship Yahweh, but I'm also gonna worship all these other gods. So like, don't misrepresent. If you're saying I associate with God, don't then live in a way that dishonors or disrespects or misuses the association with God's name. So it's don't be careless when you say his name, but also be mindful of the way you're living. We'll get to this when we preach this sermon. It's kind of like having a Bible verse in your Instagram bio, and then your Instagram account doesn't look very Christian.
It's kind of like wearing a cross necklace while you do a lot of things that aren't very Christian-like, right? It's misusing his name. Another one is keeping the Sabbath holy. God said, I want you guys to have one day where you rest. Question for you. Who in the room enjoys the weekend? Anyone? Anyone? Yes? Okay. Put your hands down. Have you ever met someone who's not a Christian and they're like, Christianity's the worst. It's a horrible influence on people. I don't believe in Christianity. I don't follow anything. Just go, oh, really? Do you enjoy the weekend? Yeah, the weekend's great. Love not having school work. Huh. You're welcome, okay? Because God gave that to you. Literally, the weekend didn't exist before this. You just worked 7 days a week. You just worked. You just did school. You just did life. And literally God is like, hey guys, listen, if you're going to be my people, okay, I want you to rest. Now some of these commandments are going to be difficult. That one should be fun, okay? Like, yes, I get to rest. And the idea is, God says, if you're going to be like me, if you're going to be as I am, I'm a God who rests. Not because God's exhausted or tired, but simply because he wishes to enjoy the work that he has done and the creation that he has made. And so after he worked for 6 days, he then rested on the seventh. So God's like, be like me. Rest. And we'll talk about what that rest looks like. But we do it today by going to church. We honor the Sabbath in a different way, and we'll talk about the differences when we preach it later. But we honor the Sabbath by going to church and resting and not working. And everybody, even myself, I have a different Sabbath day because technically I work on Sundays. I'm working right now, technically. So I have a different day of rest with my family where I don't work. Anyway, the first 4 commandments all have to do with your relationship with God. The next 6 commandments all have to do with your relationship to other people. So your interpersonal relationships. I'll describe this later in the sermon, but the first 4 are your vertical relationship with God who is above you. The rest are your horizontal relationships with the people that you're on earth with. And the first one is this, and I promise you, your parents did not put this in there, okay? This isn't a typo, okay? Honor your father and mother is the first commandment that has to do with other people. We'll talk about this more later, but it literally says, it's the only one that comes with a promise. If you honor your father and mother, you will live a longer and more prosperous life. Now, some of you are like, I don't know, okay? I don't know about this one. Can I pick like some to follow and some? No. God gives the commands, and we are to honor our father and mother. Now, it doesn't say in every single situation ever obey your father and mother, because as we'll discuss, there are some times where your parents might ask you to do something that doesn't line up with your first commitment, number 1, to worshiping and loving God, honoring him. You should honor God above honoring your parents. But one way that you worship and honor God is by how you honor your parents, how you listen to their instruction. Number 6 is usually the one when you look at this list and you're like, well, at least I haven't done that one, okay? Do not murder, okay? Does anyone struggle with this sin? Raise your hand, anyone? Okay. Officers, get him right now. Get him. No, I'm kidding. No, this is not one that, or this is the one where people look at it and they're like, okay. Like even the atheist is like, yeah, you probably shouldn't murder. Like this is kind of the gimme. And we'll talk about how Jesus raises the bar from not just don't kill another person, okay? I will say this before I get to that future sermon, okay? All killing is not inherently murder. All killing is not inherently murder. To murder is to kill someone without just cause, with even selfish cause, out of anger or out of hatred, or to kill them for a reason that has personal gain behind it. We'll talk more about that when we get into it. But with each of these commandments that work with other people, every single one of these commandments is telling you something about what God is like. For example, God is a God of authority structures. He's given an authority structure to government. He gives an authority structure to family life. He's given an authority structure to your household. And he is a God of authority over us. He is of our Father in heaven. And so he's like, I need you to practice, if you will, some of those authority roles on earth. Do not murder. God is a God of life. He is a life giver. And to take life is to say, I am being like God. God is the one who creates life, and he is the one who should destroy it. He is the one who determines when someone's life is over, not you. And so you are not being a life giver, you're being a life taker. And that is not being like God. And we'll get into God killing people. We'll talk about that when we teach this sermon. But do not murder is the command that is given. Number 7 is the one where everyone's like, this is kind of awkward. I don't think it is. It's just straightforward. This says, do not commit adultery. Adultery is to have sex with someone outside of marriage. We've talked about this before. God is the creator of life. He's the creator of interpersonal relationships, and he created marriage. And he said, you have a man and a woman who commit to be married for the rest of their life. They commit to be with one another and no one else. And then he gives this gift of sex within marriage to say, this is how you will make a life. By expressing your love to one another physically, you then will create human life. Life will be born out of love. This is God's design. And adultery is to either break the covenant that you've already made or cause someone else to break it. And so committing adultery is to say, yeah, I don't like God's structure or the way that God has created things to be or his plan, so I will defy that. And so God says to his people, you will not commit adultery. Now, this would have been radical back then. Why? Because back then they believed, particularly the men in this culture, that their wives should only sleep with the husbands, but that the husband, the man, could sleep with whoever he wanted. And I know it's gross, but this is what they believed in that culture. And you might be like, that's crazy, that's wild. Why do you have that belief that that's crazy or wild or wrong? It's because God ordained it thousands of years ago, put it into this Bible, and it has created in our culture this idea of this. Even most atheists would be like, yeah, you shouldn't cheat on somebody. If you're in a committed relationship, you shouldn't cheat. Where'd you get that idea? Right here. This is where it comes from. Next one is do not steal. Again, some of you are like, I'm pretty good at this one. Some of you need to check your backpacks. Look for the pens and pencils that you've borrowed from your friend. They're like, yo, can I borrow a pencil? Every time a friend would say it to me, yo, can I borrow a pencil? I'm like, are you asking to have it? Or are you asking to borrow it? Because there's a difference, my friend, okay? If you're asking to borrow it, because it's really weird when someone's like, yo, can I borrow a piece of gum? I'm like, can you think about that for a second? Can you borrow? Are you going to give it back to me? I don't want it back, okay? You can have it, but I don't want to borrow, okay? You don't borrow gum. Hey, hey, can I borrow some floss? No! You can't borrow, use the floss and throw it away. Can I borrow your toothbrush? No! Sorry, getting off track. Anyway, do not steal. It's this idea of people have personal property. Personal property. Thomas Jefferson, when he was writing the Declaration of Independence, said people are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You're entitled to living, being alive, don't murder. You're entitled to liberty, not being over someone. And you're also entitled to the pursuit of happiness. Now, he got this idea from a guy named John Locke, and John Locke actually wrote it, life, liberty, and the pursuit or right to property, to owning things. And in our culture, people are like, hey, that's mine. Where did this idea of mine come from, of personal property? Why do you think you get something? Back then, if you could steal it or beat someone up and take it, it was yours. Vikings weren't like, oh, I'm sorry, is this your gold? Is this your horse? Is this your little village? Vikings came and go, I have a bigger axe than you, and I'm taking it. And they just took it. It was theirs because they conquered it and took it. But this idea of like, hey, people have property, and I want to respect their life, and I also want to respect the stuff that they have. This came from God. Another one is do not lie. Now, Gregor and I were just talking before service. The technical word here is
you should not bear false witness. We'll get into what this means in a little bit when we do the full sermon on this topic. But back then, people would stand up and they would say, hey, I actually saw Stephen steal something or murder someone or do something horrible. And they would lie publicly about someone else, or maybe even just slander them in the community. And God is like, you will not do that. You will not speak things that are not true. Why? Because God is a God of truth. And if you're going to be my people, God says, you will be truth speakers. Maybe your parent was like this. Hey, if you're going to be in our household, we're Buffalo Bill fans. Okay? That's why you're named Josh, okay? You're named Josh. Alan Henderson, or whatever your last name is. You know, that's why. In our house, we're Bills fans, okay? God's like, hey, if you're my people, if you're my children, we speak truth in my house. In my family, we are truth speakers. We do not speak lies. And then number 10, covet. When I was a kid, this was the most confusing word on the list, even more than adultery for some reason. Like covet, what does covet mean? We already did steal. Covet means I look at what someone else has, and I desire it for myself. I want their shoes. Not shoes like them, but their actual shoes. Stop trying to steal your friend's shoes in the middle of a sermon. What are you doing? Anyway, moving on. I want their intelligence. They're really smart. I want their athletic skill. Not just to be more athletic, but I want theirs. I want what they have for myself. So these are the 10 commandments. Again, here's the breakdown. We have the first 4, which involve your relationship to God. And then we have the second part here, the next 6, which is your relationship to people. Jesus was once asked a question, hey, which of the commandments is the most important? And this was a trap. Because if he said, oh, don't murder, people were like, oh, you don't think it's important to not commit adultery? Or if he said, oh, I think it's important not to misuse God's name. Oh, you don't think the Sabbath is important? They were trying to trap him. And Jesus' answer was, first, you're to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, with all your mind. Because if you love God, you will follow the first 4. And if you love God, you will then love people. And if you love people, you'll follow the next 6. The idea is God is a God of love. And so if you love God, then you will treat him with respect and honor. You will give to him what belongs to him. You will honor him as he deserves to be honored. You will be faithful to him and not, if you will, spiritually cheat on him as he deserves to be loved intentionally, and uniquely, and wholly. You will honor his name and the words that you speak about him and the way that you live. And a similar thing is then said about people. If you love people, you'll honor them and speak kind words about them. You'll understand the authority structure that's in place. You'll respect their person, their property, and the personal relationship you have with them. And so all of the commandments can be summarized to love God and love people. And this is how God says, if you're going to be my people, this is what it should look like. And the reason he gave these laws is twofold. One, to demonstrate God's standard. He's like, you want to know what I expect of you and my people? I want you to be like me. I want you to be as I am. Problem is, when you do this, you realize pretty quick, oh, these are hard to keep all of them perfectly. It's hard to do. And that leads to the second part of the law. It is to demonstrate man's need for God's grace. Anyone who honestly looks at the 10 commandments, honestly, and says, looking at this standard that God has, if they honestly look at it, they will realize they are not perfect. They are not like God. They are lesser. They have sinned. They have fallen short of God's standard. Some of the people of Jesus' time, actually the Pharisees, looked at this list and they actually believed they did all of them. They were really intentional about following all the rules and all the laws and making sure they kept everything. They would write books and books and books and commentaries on these 10 simple commandments and many of the other ones as well, but to make sure they didn't disobey any of them. And Jesus is like, you think you haven't broken these, but he raised the bar to show them. The purpose of the law is to show you you're not perfect and to show you you need grace and forgiveness for your sin.
Because a lot of people look at this list like a report card. All right, haven't murdered anybody, check. I do not have a miniature Buddha in my backpack that I worship, so I don't, have any idols, check, okay? I don't misuse God's name that much, check, half. Maybe I'll give myself half a point for that one. I don't okay, can't do that one. I don't steal, though. I have not been into a bank, and I definitely don't commit adultery, or I definitely honor my parents. Okay, I can't do that one. And you're trying to find, can I just get 6 out of 7 or 6 out of 10, or can I get... See, you guys are getting in my psyche, okay? You're getting into my subconscious. Rebellious youth. Anyway, you're like, maybe I can get to 8 or 9 out of 10. How high up can I get here? But Jesus actually showed them, no. You're missing the point. It's not just even doing these things. It's, do you love God perfectly and do you love people perfectly? And the answer is no. All of us fall short of these 10 commandments. All of us mess up and make mistakes. No one is righteous, no, not one. We all need a Savior, and this is Jesus. You're not a Christian because you follow all 10 of these commandments, because no one in this room follows all of them perfectly. You're a Christian when you recognize, I'm not good enough, I'm not perfect, but I am welcomed into God's family. I show myself to be one of God's people, his children, by accepting I have sinned, I've fallen short of this standard. I'm sorry, God, for my sin. Forgive me for the areas I've lied. Forgive me for the things that I've stolen. Forgive me for the times I've misused your name. And Jesus offers grace and forgiveness so that anyone who believes in Jesus will be forgiven of their sins. So this is the purpose of the law, to show you, hey, you're not perfect, but God is, and he loves you, and you can be forgiven of your sin if you believe in him. Now, we are going to do the memorization of the 10 Commandments, all right? So, I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to teach you hand motions, okay? You're going to use your digits here, okay? So, we're going to practice them together. Each commandment, you're not just going to memorize the 10 Commandments, you're going to memorize what number each one is, okay? Ready? So, here we go. These are stupid, and I admit to you they're stupid, but they work, okay? Everyone hold up a 1. Ready? Everybody say 1. How many gods should you worship? See what I did there? If you're like, what's the first commandment? 1. How many gods? Worship one God, okay? So you should worship one true God, okay? 2. Everybody say 2. 2. How many gods should you not worship? 2. Or more, okay? 2 or more. So when you're like, 2, how many? I shouldn't worship 2 or more gods. So I should only worship 1. How many should I not worship? 2 or more, okay? Sometimes I like to do this one because it says make idols, okay? You ever have the little thing where you fold up a piece of paper and you cut a little snowflake or a smiley face? You ever done that? And you pull it out, okay? Don't make a little snowflake idol and be like, worshiping this snowflake idol. So if you're like, scissors, don't make idols with scissors, okay? Those 2 work, either one, but the 2 should work, okay? How many gods should you have? 1. How many gods should you not have? 2 or more, all right? So don't make idols with scissors, okay? Don't make idols. Number 3, there is a word you should not misuse. Look at your 3 fingers. What letter does it look like? Don't turn it upside down, okay? It's an M, okay? It's a W. Word starts with what letter? Don't misuse a word. What word? God's name, okay? So number 3, don't misuse a word, a name. What word? God. Don't misuse God's name. Okay, number 3. See a W? It's a letter for word. It's a stretch, but it works, okay? Number 4, honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. One way we honor the Sabbath is we go to church, right? So ready for this one? Boop, boop. Go to church. Okay? So number 4, honor the Sabbath and go to church, okay? Honor the Sabbath, go to church. All right? Now, from here, they get really easy. Those are the hardest ones, believe it or not. Ready? Number 5. Honor your father and mother, okay? Honor your father and mother. All right, number 1. How many gods should you have? 1. How many gods should you not have? 2. 2 or more, right? Number 3, there's a W word you don't misuse. What word? God. Number 4, where do you go? Church. Right? Honor the Sabbath and go to church. Number 5, honor your father and mother, all right? Now, everyone's favorite is number 6. Okay, you ready? Everybody do 6, ready? Bang. Don't murder. Other people like a variation, okay? Some people like this one. Stabby, stab, stab. Okay? Up to you. Whatever, bang or stabby, stab. Neither one is okay. Okay? Neither one. So 6. Stop laughing while you do it. Some of you are like, ha ha, it's creeping me out. Okay, so 6. Now, to be clear, the commandment is not bang, okay? The commandment is not stabby stab. The commandment is do not, okay? Do not murder, okay? Now, number 7's a little immature, but it works too, okay? So number 7, 7, okay, you got 2 people, get into the bed sheets, whoa, okay? 2 people, don't commit adultery, okay? Another way you can remember it, 2 people, they're all hanging out with their friends, 2 people go away, uh-oh. Okay, stay together, stay in a group, okay? So, Number 7, do not commit adultery. Number 8, what do they threaten to do in some countries if you steal something? Chop your hand off or chop a finger. Do you actually know that's where pinky promises came from? If you broke a pinky promise, they would cut off your right pinky. So when you went to shake someone's hand, they'd go, oh, you're not trustworthy. It's literally what, yeah, some of you were like, oh, I should have lost my pinky a long time ago. All right, so here's what you do. All right, ready? 8, chop, chop, okay? Don't lose your fingers, tell the truth. So you kind of look at kind of looks like your pinky's missing your thumb. Why? Chop, chop, because you lost them, because you stole something, okay? Don't steal, chop, chop, or you'll get them chopped off, okay? Shh. Number 6, bang, don't murder. Number 7, whoa, don't commit adultery. Number 8, chop, chop. Do not steal. Oh, wow, they let out a while ago. You should have stopped me. All right, I gotta hurry up. Number 9, don't bear false witness or lie. What are they all lying about? The thumb. They're all like, oh, the thumb's the worst. I don't even like the thumb. And the thumb's like, oh. And so he's hiding there. Why? Because everyone's lying about him. He's sad, okay? And number 10, shh, don't covet what someone else has for yourself. Okay, real quick, here we go. Number 1, how many gods do you have? 1. How many gods do you not have? 2 or more, yeah. Number 3, there's a word you don't misuse. Which word? Number 4, where do you go? Yeah, go to Sabbath, honor the Sabbath and go to church. Number 5. Number 6. Don't, now the commandment isn't bang, the commandment is don't murder. 7, whoa. 8, chop, chop, don't steal. 9, don't lie about your thumb, because he gets sad and he goes and hides. You know? Don't be gossipy. And number 10, don't covet someone else has for yourself. We're going to review these every week. Shh. And if in 5 weeks, when we're done with our series, you remember them all, we'll give you a huge candy bar. All right? You guys are dismissed. Bye, everybody.